Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the AWS bi-weekly meeting for Kubernetes. A reminder, this meeting is being recorded and will be put on the internet, and therefore to be please be mindful of our code of conduct. The date is Friday, January 10th, 2020. We have a couple of things on our New Year's agenda. First off, we're going to have something from Peter, and then we're going to do issue review and prioritization of any issues that came up in the repo over the new year. We did that last time we met, which was almost a month ago now. I had some action items and other people did as well. I did not do mine. I think other people may not have done theirs also. So we can get back into the swing of this as Nick suggested prior to our starting recording. But first up, Peter, you have a topic around external cloud provider roadmap timeline.
Yeah, we're looking at implementing some of the NLB feature requests in Kubernetes, and wondering how the extraction of the cloud provider is going, what the status of that is, just because the timeline for getting, PRs reviewed and merged in Kubernetes is probably a bit slower than if we were contributing directly to the separate repo. And so just wondering what the status of that effort is.
Nick, you might be more in tune with this, but do you want to?
Sure, I can tell you what sort of my goals are. But so basically, or at least maybe I can speak for EKS here. So basically, I think by the end of this year, we want to choose my words carefully here.
So it's often easier to speak personal goals, and they may or may not overlap with those of your employer.
Yeah. So we'll stick with personal goals then. Yeah, by the end of this year, we want to be migrated over, but I really should speak in releases, I guess. So let's see what's coming up right now. We're on, so 117 was December, and 118 is in the works now, right? Yeah. So personally, I'd like to have a little bit stronger of an alpha version of the external around the time 118 goes out. I think that's a reasonable goal. And ideally, we'd then go to beta with the next release, and then maybe GA with the release after that. There is some considerations with the machinery that's in Kubernetes for doing actual migrations from internal to external. So that has to be, I would assume, at least beta or GA before we can actually migrate clusters out. Although that does really only include clusters that can't have any downtime. If you can take downtime, then you can sort of migrate at any time. So those are the things that I'm thinking about. But basically, if we can do it, an alpha at 118 would be great.
Okay, and how tightly coupled do you think the releases for that project will be coupled to the actual Kubernetes releases?
I don't think they need to be, and I think eventually they shouldn't be. We should start getting in a faster cadence. But initially, I think the only reason why I said we should do it at 118 is because it's a date that we all know. it kind of makes sense. And sometimes we will be relying on features in upstream, like the migration stuff, but we don't need to. So there's no hard requirement to couple with Kubernetes releases.
Cool. Thank you.
I think also that, Nick, you might want to talk about there was effectively like 2 places to code, and I believe you changed that so that you want to.
Yeah. So we were in a kind of a bad state, in my opinion, where we had originally I guess there was a push to get this stuff done like last year, and the way that it was decided to do that was to just copy the cloud provider code over to the external repo. And then they quickly diverged. So we took a step back and reverted that. And so now we're just importing KK into the cloud provider repo. And so another important date that we'll have to decide on as a SIG is, when do we copy that code back over and deprecate KK? That's going to be a really important date, and it's going to take some coordination and I think it'll just take some explaining and kind of beating the point to the community so that people know not to contribute to KK, and external is a thing and all that good stuff.
And we also should fix the tenet of your question. Like, I reject the tenet of your question. We should make it that we do review things faster in KK.
Yeah, I mean the reviews aren't as worrisome as, like, if it misses a minor release, now you're waiting 3 more months for the next minor release, that sort of thing.
Oh, which is interesting from your question about like release coupling, because we could do releases of the mirrored code more frequently.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hoping we'll get to.
And we could even do it like, but yeah, so we could do it alpha. Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, even before we get to, we could do like, we could do an alpha today in theory.
We could.
I wouldn't.
Maybe we should.
Yeah, maybe we should. But yes, we could do. Yeah, so that's interesting. Yeah, we should definitely address the PR thing, and we should probably also address if it becomes an issue that we miss something like the tight coupling. That would also be interesting to see whether it is possible to do these releases, because like whenever a new KK release comes out, whenever new the KK tree opens, like there's a bit of churn, a bit of breakage, and like things are a little bit less stable for a little while. So it'll be interesting to see whether we actually can cherry pick out at times that are not the release time. Anyway, great topic, and I think everyone would love to see NLB improvements, so thank you.
Cool, thanks.
The only other thing, or the only other thing we have on our agenda is the regular issue review and prioritization, as suggested by Nick. If there are other things, please do speak up or add things to the agenda. Otherwise, I think we will dive into that. I'll give people a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds to speak up. Okay, Nick, do you want to try sharing your screen?
Yeah, I'll give it a try. Okay, you should see my browser.
We do see it, yes.
Did you happen to save the search? I think I can find it.
I believe I did. Yes, it's linked from some issues sorting by thumbs up is how we sorted them last time, but I think we probably should do in this case sorted by perhaps last updated.
Yep, that's good.
Newest.
Or newest, yeah.
Let's do newest first, and then we can, yes, because there's not that many, so that's good.
Yeah.
When there are only 2 or 3 that looks like were open since we last, Although I suspect that's because we just haven't tagged them, but we'll see.
Yeah, okay. Oh, that's probably true, yeah. So I'll start with this, I guess. Actually, I'll start with the 22 days. Error creating load balancer in AWS.
"22 days would have been just after we last went through this, so I think.
So good place to start?
A great place to start, yes. Error creating.
Can you guys read my screen or is...
Oh, I think one bigger would probably be good just because of the font. Thank you. Too many targets on a load balancer listener. Is there a limit, I guess? That's what it would imply.
Yeah, I believe there is a limit.
Maximum number of targets per load balancer. Oh, but it's 2,000. Yeah, maybe this is an NLB, or maybe we're not doing it. Maybe we're not pruning correctly.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Oh, it was NLB. Alex Shemeshwicks had previously used NLB in the last comment.
Okay, so, but is there an issue here where there should be fewer targets than there are?
It does sound like that. I don't know whether, and it might be, of course, that just switching to NLB might just have, if there was a leak, as it were, switching to NLB would probably, switching from NLB to ELB might just have like reset the count. So the bug could exist in both.
Yeah.
It's not the case that NLB targets pods by default, is it?
I believe nodes.
Yeah, so it sounds like a node leak or attachment leak, I guess.
So arguably this needs investigation.
Yes, and that feels pretty serious.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay. Do you want to just take a note that it needs investigation?
Yeah, well, we should use GitHub labels, I think. Should we put a priority on it, or needs? I'm trying to think what it needs. I don't think we need information. I think we need to priority important soon.
Yeah.
That feels pretty. I just tagged it as such. I cheated and used the drop down instead of trying to remember the magic words. I will look up the magic words while we do the next one. So it's tagged as a bug. It's tagged as sig cloud provider in area AWS, and it's priority important soon, which feels right. I don't know that feels like the right place to prioritize it.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess if anyone is running one of these and has been running them for a while, it would be super helpful to open up their cluster and see whether they have a bunch of, I guess, offline targets or something, right? Or I mean, if these targets were still there, they would presumably be health checked and sort of sitting in an odd state.
I mean, what happens in AWS when you register an instance ID to a target group and then the instance gets terminated?
I mean, plainly, it sounds like it still sticks around, right?
I mean, this seems like this. the way we're describing this seems like it would be a way bigger problem if that was actually true.
That's true.
I don't think that.
Maybe it's that it's picking up, maybe in this particular VPC or whatever it is, there are 2,000 other nodes that are getting attached incorrectly, like non-Kubernetes instances.
Right. Maybe it's like a labeling issue.
Exactly, something of that nature.
Yeah. Like there's other instances that have the cluster label for some reason.
It definitely needs more investigation and checking, but yes, we should either way. Well, yeah, if someone's labeling other instances in a way that picks it up, that's, I don't want to say user error, but like we can see what's going on there. But yeah, that's one possibility. But then if it's a bug on our side, then that's a much more serious thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure how Kubernetes handles like target group registration. Is there a controller that's doing that?
There is the service controller
Right.
calls into the cloud provider.
Right. So the service controller has NLB specific.
Oh yes, and the service controller actually contains the list of nodes. So I don't think the user could have tagged these things incorrectly. So if I recall correctly, the service controller passes in the nodes. It isn't like it lists all instances. Okay, that's a good one. That sounds like a real bug.
All right, definitely needs some investigation though.
Yes.
Okay, feature request.
That is a feature request. It might be a little hard to express as well. I don't know if we physically can express on a service multiple TLS certificates, a Kubernetes service.
Yeah.
The way we do it for ALBs with the ingress controller is there's one cert arm annotation, and then you provide a list that's just a string with commas.
That's
So
reasonable. So this is tagged correctly, right? It's tagged as a feature. It's tagged with, we need to decide whether we're area provider, AWS, or SIG cloud provider, but maybe you don't. I guess it is SIG cloud provider and the area is AWS.
Yeah.
Let's see. It is a feature request. It feels like a good feature request. Should I put a priority on it? I don't even know if it's not a bug. Does it need a priority?
Unless it's like a critical feature, I would say no, but.
Yeah, I don't think it's critical. It feels very valid and important, but doesn't feel critical. I feel like we'd certainly accept that. I'll write a note that we would certainly welcome this, and the proposal was to just use comma delimited, comma separated values.
That is how ALB ingress control does it.
I can add a comment to that effect.
Sure. All right, so the next one, service not noticing if the ALB is deleted manually.
This is true. It should be noticed when you, eventually it will reconcile, and it should notice at that time. A way to force that is to restart like controller manager. So there are two things, I guess. If when you restart kube controller manager, it does not refresh, that's a bug. The other, like, but I don't believe that to be the case. The other one is, in general, like Controller Manager doesn't pick up underlying cloud changes, except on a very slow schedule, if ever, except at restart, because it doesn't reconcile.
It only reconciles on restart?
I don't want to say that. It certainly reconciles on restart. I don't think it has a periodic reconcile for other things. I don't think like every 10 hours or every hour it does it. I don't believe. But I don't want to say that across the board. And we certainly could add something like that, but we haven't added that to date.
Got it.
I don't know whether we should. Like, why did someone delete the ELB? I guess is the underlying question.
Yeah.
From that regard, I would treat it as a feature request unless we decide that it would be a bug if on restarting Kube Control Manager it didn't refresh it, didn't recreate it.
Yeah.
It's a feature request or an enhancement if to like notice more rapidly that the ELB does not exist and create it.
Got it. Surprises me that there's no even like long-term reconciliation.
There might be. I just it's certainly not fast. We've in general we are always like butting up against the request limits on the various clouds, and so doing that sort of thing might be expensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe
it's not true though. Like maybe we should like do it every 5 minutes and just read them all. I don't know. We have generally tended to do per object reconciliation. And I'm not sure that that's optimal from an API usage standpoint. It might be better to list all the objects all the time on a like schedule that at least every minute, but then when we're actively like creating a volume, pull more often, but still just pull them all. But that is a very big change. And I think it probably also differs. I think the answer of whether that's optimum or not is probably different on AWS versus GCP versus Azure versus anyone else, would be my guess.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, do you want to comment to the effect that this sounds like a feature request to you more than and then just see if they still think that there's a bug there?
I can certainly do that unless someone else wants to, but yes, I will do that one next time. Just still trying to write the old one.
Oh,
yes.
I can
do it, but yeah.
Okay.
Go for it, but yeah, you're sort of leading the thing. I will come to this one next, and yes, 86907 and do the same comment there.
Got it. Well, I have to run in a few minutes, but I did want to just quickly look and see if any of the most commented, or I guess recently updated is what I want. Recently updated.
Some of these are probably recently updated because they haven't been updated.
Oh, you're talking about like the auto, Eric.
Exactly. I'm betting 40244, given that it has a frozen on it, was not updated recently, but we can click through and see. Oh, no, a real update. Okay.
So to refresh.
Oh, this is the one about like DNS should be able to support UDP and TCP. Oh, is it? I can't remember. No, it's
allow specifying different backend protocol for each service port.
Oh, yeah, no, this is different from that. Yeah. It certainly feels like a feature request, but
yeah.
a good one, but like an enhancement.
Yeah. So I think we can just ignore this one. Well, it does, I mean, yeah. Looks popular, but also looks like a feature request and a kind of a Kubernetes feature request, right? Is it AWS specific?
I think the annotations today are
but is
AWS
it
specific.
Different backend protocol? So backend protocol is specified
if implicitly using the annotations in this case. Yeah, they're a backend protocol. HTTP.
I see. Makes sense. Okay.
Yes, we can't use HTTP for TLS for SSH. That's quite right.
All right. Any action items for this one, or?
Well, what is it tagged as? I think that's the question. Like, how do we want to deal with these in general? Like, is it assigned to someone? Do we want to try to have people who shepherd through the important bugs, or adopt a bug?
I think that's ideally we could go through these, assign them out, and then check progress next meeting. I think there's too few of us and too many issues to really effectively do that at this point.
I think that's fair.
What do you think?
I could try to adopt a bug. Maybe I could adopt the 2000 limit on NLBs. On NLBs. Unless Peter, you wanted to take that because you're playing with NLBs, but I'm happy to adopt it.
Go for it. Yeah.
Okay, I will adopt the 86441 because I feel like that's sort of interesting as a bug.
Yeah, I think that's a good one.
And we'll give it a go and we'll see what happens, and we can like try to hold me to account for next time or whenever and see.
We can next time around we can update on the action items that we took last meeting and anything from this meeting. I mean, we should just do that every meeting, really.
I'll put an action item.
I was saying on the claiming bug stuff. I had claimed I commented on the 77557. That's the security group one. I was able to replicate that bug on an older version, on 113. So, yeah, I can try and.
You wanna?
Which one was that?
It should be 77557.
77557. The one at the bottom here.
Yeah.
And did you say you were or were not able to reproduce it?
I was able to reproduce it on 113. I wasn't able.
Do you want to adopt this bug for the 2 weeks?
Yeah, I can put more time into it. I wasn't able to put more with work going on, but I can definitely put it into my next sprint.
Yeah. I don't think anyone is expecting that like you're signing up to commit to fix it. I think it's more just like peer pressure, holding each other like, yeah, why don't you work on this one, and we'll see if we can like collectively like start to chip away at them. I think that would be awesome.
Did you look at it on 114, or like are we saying that it does not exist 114, or are you saying you haven't yet?
I tested it on whatever the latest one was 24 days ago, but I did confirm it on 113. I should try it on 114 and 15.
So you tested it on 117?
Yeah. And I didn't need it. I couldn't replicate it on 117, but I should try replicating it for 14, 15, 16.
Eric, I don't know your GitHub, but I'm going to refer to you as Eric unless you tell me otherwise.
No,
okay.
It's just my name backwards, so it works out.
Yeah,
okay.
it's this one here, Carol Dan. Carol Dan.
Okay.
So he did ask you what version weren't you able to replicate it in. I think that would be a good. It would be good if you could.
Okay, yeah. I'll have like a full list of which ones I couldn't get that error to come up in.
Cool. Awesome. All right.
Well, let's give that a go and see how the adoption goes. And Nick, if you can find people that want to adopt bugs over in AWS land, that would be awesome. Yeah, you said you had to go in a couple of minutes, and I don't know if anyone else wants to bring up anything else. Go. All right. Well, does anyone else want to bring up anything else, or shall we adjourn for 2 weeks? All right. Well, I wish everyone a very happy 2 weeks.
Well,
and see you all soon.
See you guys in 2 weeks.